Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I will be talking all about Avengers Endgame. I will be eating some pizza because I've got some pizza right here, and I will be drinking a nice beer while I do this, so just so you know. First I'll be giving a bit of my opinion without giving away any spoilers. So if you haven't seen it yet, don't click away. I will talk about what I thought about the film now. I love the film. I fully understand why it got 98% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes so far. It's absolutely phenomenal. The choices that the Russo brothers have made are fantastic. The way they've handled some of the more difficult moments in the film are brilliant. The relationships between some of the characters are fleshed out a bit more, which I didn't expect in such a film, and I think it's really good that they kept it 3 hours long. I did cry multiple times, but the big bad one was at the end, near the end. I was really happy to see how they incorporated all the other supers in there. However, I did wish that they got a bit more screen time. You spend a lot of time with the core people who survived and not so much with the ones that they try and get back. I wish that we would have had more time with them. I can't say much more because if I do, I will give away big spoilers, and I don't want to do that. You know, they've asked to not spoil, so that's why I'm saying I will be spoiling today. But what I will be doing is I will be putting a massive spoiler warning right here. Spoilers ahead. Spoilers ahead. If you haven't seen the film, click away now, go watch it and then come back. Or if you don't care, just watch it now. The film opens. Yeah, I'm going in there now. So if you haven't clicked away, click away now, okay? I'm giving you like 30 seconds to do this. Go, click away if you haven't seen it yet. The film doesn't open with Tony Stark, it doesn't open with Cap. In fact, the film opens with Hawkeye, which I hadn't expected, but the film opens, it opens where Infinity War left off. Hawkeye turns around to get an arrow from a tree because he's teaching his daughter archery, and then basically what happens is he turns around, his daughter's gone, and his whole family's gone. He didn't see any of it. They just vanished, which I thought was really well done. I felt the pain. Then you switch to Tony and Nebula on Peter Quill's ship, and they try and fix it, but it doesn't work, and that's when you see the stuff from the trailer, when you see him saying, like, making the video for Pepper Potts, saying, like, I'm not going to survive, I love you, this and that. Then they get saved by Captain Marvel. This is Dani editing. I will say that that part felt a little bit like Ex Machina, that you just found them in the middle of space. They're saved, they're brought back to Earth, and when they get back to Earth, they get brought to the Avengers facility in upstate New York. How she knows where that is, I don't know, because she's never been there before. They come back together, and Tony looks really bad. He gets in a fight with Captain America because he's like, you weren't there, you promised that if we would do this, we would go together and we would lose together, and you weren't there. They basically break up again, just like Civil War, which makes sense for the characters. And from that moment on, they try and figure out what they need to do. So what they do is they find a way to find Thanos. They find Thanos and they kill him, but not before he tells them that he's destroyed the stones, and basically all hope is lost. Then 5 years pass, and Natasha is still like monitoring everything, and there's still a few people in the field like Okoye and Nebula and Rocket and War Machine. They are all still there. They still are looking out for the people, trying to see if they can figure out a way to bring them all back, but it doesn't seem to be working. In the meantime, Steve Rogers is leading a support group, trying to get people to move on with their lives, and it's very, very sweet, but he can't move on because he feels like a failure. And we don't really see Tony. We find out that Tony is living on a ranch basically next to a lake with Pepper, and they have a daughter, Morgan, and she's adorable and she loves him 3000. Scott Lang comes out of the quantum thing and goes to the Avengers facility upstate after he finds out what happens and finds Cassie, his daughter, now pretty much all grown up. He was in the quantum realm for 5 years, but for him it felt like 5 hours. So that's... he still has people to save, he still has Hope and Pym, and the wife of Dr. Pym, I forget her name. Anyway, he still has those people to save, so he goes to the Avengers facility in upstate New York. When he gets there, they're like, is this from 5 years ago? Is this like an old recording, or is it now? And that's what you saw in the trailer as well. And I think that was so nicely done. And he just comes in, he's like, okay, we need to do this. I think I found a way to get them back. And what happened, because he doesn't know exactly what happened, but he knows that he can time travel, basically. And he's like, we can time travel, we're going to fix it. Then they go and find Tony, because if anyone's going to make this work, it's Tony. Tony is Shuri, but Shuri was also vanished, was also dusted. So Shuri is no help. They go to Tony. They have this really lovely, quiet life, and it's fantastic. Cap goes and he says, I need your help, and Tony's like, no, we're not time traveling. This is insane. This is science fiction. This is not real. Tony does not want to help them time travel because he feels like that is impossible. It's not going to work, and he's got people to live for now. He's got Pepper and he's got Morgan, and he's like, I know that people lost people, but I know that everyone lost people, but I don't want to risk this. I got a second chance. This is my second chance. So he doesn't want to do it. Then they go and find Banner, because maybe he can help. In the meantime, in those 5 years, Banner has found out a way to combine himself and the Hulk together to make Dr. Hulk. I completely forgot to talk about what I think about Dr. Hulk. I wasn't a fan. I like Bruce as a character, and I like Hulk as a character. Like, I loved him in Ragnarok. I loved how we got to see both characters. Banner is really, I like Banner because he is nice and he's a bit shy and he's humble and he's just really cute. And then you've got Hulk and he's like Hulk smash. And now there was this kind of combined, and Banner was just really like confident about himself, and it took away from the charm of the character. I felt I was not into it. The more I think about it, the less I like it, actually. It took me a while to get used to it, and now I'm just like, I don't want to get used to this. Basically, that's what he is. So Dr. Hulk, I'm just going to refer to him as Banner. It's a combination between the two. The Hulk or Banner, they work on developing something that can make them travel through time, with the help of Scott Lang, with the technology that Pym developed, and it goes all right. There's a bit of something goes wrong. Scott's a baby, and then Scott's an old man, and then Scott's even younger, and it's not good. It's not good. It works like they did something with time, but instead of Scott Lang passing through time, time passed through him. So that was not good, obviously. Right at that moment, Tony Stark arrives, knight in shining armour. He goes, how's it going? Because Cap is out there looking like, honestly, like he's about to give up, and he just goes, you turned him into a baby, didn't you? Like, yeah, it's just in this paradox, or this thing that happens. I know how to solve it. I've figured it all out. I've got these watches, basically, that we can set, and I can send back into the past through the quantum realm, and I've got this idea, and I'll come and help you. And it works like a charm. They split up in teams. Some go to New York, where there's 3 stones in one place at the same time. 2 people go to Vormir, and 2 people go to Morag to get the stones, and 2 people go to Asgard to get the Aether, the thing that wasn't Jane. So they all get them back through one way or another, which was really funny. It was also really fun to see all the characters in their old costumes, and like seeing Loki again from a different angle. It felt a bit Harry Potter-ish, and like in The Prisoner of Azkaban, when you see Hermione looking at herself and saying like, is that what my hair really looks like from the back? That's the feel I got, which I loved. And I thought it was so expertly done. I was like, this is going too well, you know. Of course they've got that bit of a mishap when Loki accidentally gets a Infinity Stone again and blah blah blah. But something like, it was all going too well, and then of course Nebula, because she's half machine, something goes wrong and she short circuits basically, and Thanos finds out about everything. They go back to Earth, and Hulk does that, and they bring everyone back, but not everyone returns immediately. They don't, actually. It takes a bit of time. At that moment, Thanos attacked. Thanos is such a good villain, man. So good. Thor, Captain America, and Tony, they all come and meet Thanos for a second time. And this time, Thanos has decided, I made a fatal mistake last time. What I'm going to do now is I am going to not just delete half the universe out of existence. I'm going to destroy this universe and start a new one. Create a new one where people will be grateful and people won't know about this because you will not be there to tell it. So they fight him. They lose. And it looks like it's about to go sideways for Thor. Thor is about to get stabbed in the chest, just like he did with Thanos in the last film. But at that moment, we see Mjolnir being lifted by someone. And at this moment, I was like, oh my god, it can only be one person. It can only be one person. And it was. It was Captain America. Captain America picks up Mjolnir because he brought back Mjolnir from when he visited Asgard to get the Aether. He picks up Mjolnir and throws it at Thanos. And it was the most epic thing in the world. It was so amazing. So good. So good. You suddenly see like something spinning. Something orange. And out come 3 people. Okoye, Black Panther, and Shuri. And then more portals open up and everyone just comes through, and all these sorcerers, they all come through and they make this army of people, and everyone from Wakanda, all those people, and M'Baku, and everyone is there. I didn't see Nakia, but aside from that, everyone was there, and it's like a Lord of the Rings battle. There's people, like the good people and the bad guys, and they fight each other, and they need to get the gauntlet, which was found again by Hawkeye. They need to get that from the one side of the battlefield to the complete other side, because that's where the only way to destroy it is. They think if they bring it back to the van that the quantum thingy was in, they can just send it back through time, put it back where it belongs, and it's all going to be solved. So they try and do that. There's a really nice reunion between Tony Stark and Peter Parker. And you remember in Spider-Man Homecoming? Oh my god, I'm gonna cry. Remember when when Tony grabbed the door and Peter gives him a hug, and Tony goes, no, it's not a hug, we're not there yet. And then Peter comes back, and Peter's like, oh, Mr. Stark, it was so weird, this happened, and this Doctor Strange came up to me and he said that we needed to go, and all Tony does just gives him a massive hug and just holds him for a moment and just celebrates that he's back. And it's... which makes the next part even worse. Somehow they manage... Captain Marvel comes back and helps them out in the last battle. As Captain Marvel is struggling with Thanos removes, because he's losing, he removes the Power Stone from the gauntlet, puts it in his other, hand thingy, and punches her away. At that moment, you see one very important person who had seen Endgame more than 14 million times, Doctor Strange, and he does this to Tony. He just does this. And that's when Tony knows this is the moment. We're going to win. And he goes and he fights Thanos, and he looks like he's about to snap his fingers, but Tony prevents him. And you think that he's lost because Thanos throws him off, and Thanos does this and nothing happens. It just sounds like a clanging, it doesn't happen, and he checks and they're all gone. All of the Infinity Stones are gone. They are melting into the Iron Man suit. And of course Tony can't hold it. It's so much power can't surge through someone like Tony. So he snaps, and all of Thanos' army, they all disappear. What happens is the same thing that happens to the good guys in Infinity War, and it's such amazing, payback, revenge. The Revengers got it, and everyone's there, and from Valkyrie to Okoye, and there's a moment where all the women get together, and they're like, we'll fix this. And it's so empowering, it's amazing, and it's beautifully shot. everyone except, of course, for Black Widow, because she's already dead at that point. They all come together, and it warms my heart. And then everyone lives, and I thought for sure that Captain America was going to die, but he didn't. And then and you see Tony Stark moving, I'm like, oh, he's alive! But then he dies, because the power was too much. And Peter Parker comes up to him and he's like, Mr. Stark, you're gonna be okay. Mr. Stark, can you see me? Can you say something to me? Can you look at me? Mr. Stark, Tony, and he says Tony once, and my heart broke. And then Pepper comes, because she's been fighting in an Iron Man suit as well, and she comes and she goes, it's alright, you can rest now. And that moment I broke. I just started crying. I started crying so much. He dies. And then basically that ends. And they go back to the ranch that Pepper and Tony were living in with their daughter. And you see that they have a funeral for him. And he's recorded a message for his family and for everyone around him. He recorded that message before they started time travelling, in case he didn't make it. And he doesn't. And it's the most beautiful message, and it felt so genuine, and of course it is, because Robert Downey Jr. is also saying goodbye to a franchise he's helped build. And it's so sad. But he has a beautiful funeral, and they're all there. And even the kid from Iron Man 3, like, he's grown up and he's there. I didn't recognise him at first, I had to look him up, but he's there. Carol is there. Everyone who knew Tony was there, and they say goodbye to him, and they, like, the little arc reactor that says the proof that Tony Stark has a heart, they send that out into the water with a bunch of flowers, and that's how they say goodbye to him. It's so lovely. What they're going to do, they've still got all the Infinity Stones, and basically what needs to be done is they need to be put back into their rightful place. So there's not a different timeline, so the timeline can continue on as it was. Steve says, I'll do it. So he goes and does it, and just before he goes, Bucky says, I'll miss you, pal. And that's when I knew he wasn't coming back. Not as we knew him anyway. So he travels back in time, and Bruce and Sam expect him to come back after 5 seconds, but he's not there. And then they look around and they see this person, and at first I thought it was a young Steve, but it wasn't. It was 90-year-old man Steve sitting there on a bench nearby, and he tells them, like, remember when Tony Stark told me that I needed to get a life? That's what I did. He went back to the past, and he stayed with Peggy, and he married her, and they might have had children. You don't know, you don't get to see it. And he's married, so he's got a wedding ring. He's not telling much about it. And then Sam says, but the world's gonna have to do it without you, Captain America. And he says, no, they don't. And he gives Sam the shield and basically passes the torch to Sam, which I didn't understand. I thought it would go to Bucky. And I'm not sure how I feel about Sam being the new Captain America yet. I really don't know. I don't think I like it that much. It's one of my few pet peeves. Like, we've seen the symbolism of Bucky holding the shield multiple times, and I expected it to be Bucky, but apparently not. So he gives it to Sam. But he's alive. He's basically retired. He's as old as he should be. And it is so lovely, and that's basically where the film ends. You see them all reuniting. You see Peter and his best friend Ned, they reunite, and you see the Black Panther family. You see them in Wakanda looking over their people, and Thor passes on the throne of Wakanda to Valkyrie because she would be a better ruler, and he says, I'm not going to do what was expected of me anymore. I'm going to do what I want to do, which I thought was so powerful. And he's probably going to lose some weight. And then he joins the Guardians, basically. Gamora is missing. Not like dusted missing. She doesn't remember meeting Star-Lord, so they don't have a connection. She doesn't have a connection to the Guardians. So I feel like that's maybe something they will explore in Guardians 3. And we might have Thor in Guardians 3, which will be fun. It's such a whirlwind of emotions, man. It was so funny at times, but it was the right moments. And like I said, I love the film, and I think the way they handled Cap's retirement and Tony's death was so amazing. I was sad. Of course I was sad, because I've grown up with this thing, but I didn't feel crushed. I knew that it was going to happen, and the way that they handled it was perfect. I loved if I had to have a few like comments that I didn't like that it was being passed on to Sam, the Captain America. That's not because Sam is not worthy or something, but it's just because we've had the foreshadowing that it was going to be Bucky all this time, and then it isn't. I definitely feel like it might not stay. Sam might not take it, because he really struggled. He was like, it doesn't feel like it's mine. And I feel like he might turn it down at some point, because Stan still has like 5 films on his contract, so I bet he needs to come back. I didn't like how small of a role all of the other people had. Of course I knew that was going to be the core, like the people that remained, but I think the others were only in there for like 25 minutes, and the film is 3 hours long. I really expected to see them more, and I felt that they were a bit cheated. I felt bad for the actors, so that, because I think some like Laura, Hawkeye's wife, got more screen time than some of the actual like superheroes. I know that M'Baku was supposed to be in there somewhere. I didn't see him. I know he was in there because I saw it on Winston Duke, is that his name? Like on the actor's Instagram page, and I didn't see him. I know that he must have been around there somewhere, but I didn't see him. Shuri, I don't think Shuri had any lines. There's like that's the kind of stuff that kind of I feel a bit sad about, you know. I get it because it's a big film and they have so many characters and they were all awesome in battle, but I wish they would have had a bit more screen time. I think how they handled the deaths especially was really good, and that's what tied this around so perfectly. That's what really made this a really good film, and it made me really sad to see this amazing franchise. The franchise isn't over, but it's close to being over, and like this era is over, and I'm definitely sad about it, but I'll live with it. And it also now means that Spider-Man Far From Home actually takes place after Endgame, and even though everyone's speculating that it happened before, it happens after, which I think is interesting. So like if you haven't seen Endgame, you're gonna be spoiled. Like, okay, Tony's dead now. Yeah, also there's like a tiny spoiler in the new Spider-Man Far From Home trailer that you see before the film starts, because at that point Nick Fury goes and shoots Ned with like a stunt, something like a dart, which we've all seen, but then he says, "You're all alone now," which doesn't make sense because he used to have Iron Man on his side, but obviously now he doesn't have that anymore, and it's already said in that trailer, which I think is a bit of a mistake on Marvel's part. But anyway, it was such an amazing film. I would definitely rate it like a 9.8 out of 10. It's definitely it's not my favourite Marvel film, because my favourites die. Because Iron Man and Captain America die, and I knew that it was going to happen. Well, Captain America doesn't die, he retires, but he's close, you know? He's old, he's close. But he's definitely not like written off. He could still make a cameo. I'm sad, but it was really well done. All I can do is give them praise for how they've done it. I'm honestly a bit speechless. It feels a bit like when Harry Potter 7.2 came out, when everyone was at the cinema and everyone was kind of like ready, but not ready at all. People didn't want it to end. And of course loads of characters are still alive. Less characters have died than I thought would die, honestly, but the two people who started it, so Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans, Tony Stark's dead, and Captain America, as we know him, Steve Rogers, basically retired and had a life with Peggy, and he deserved that. He deserved a normal life. It's all he ever wanted. He was in a time that wasn't his. He deserved to be with Peggy, and I'm very happy that he got that, but it's still sad to see him go, because I've put so much, I love these characters so much, and I never wanted this to end, but it was so good. The film was amazing. Thank you, Marvel, Kevin Feige, who came up with all of this, Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson, everyone else who worked on this film. I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, because anyone who's ever worked on these films has left such a legacy in they've done something that no other film company or no other company in general has ever done before, and it's changed the world of cinema, and it's changed me. It's changed the way I think about something, the way I can love a character, and yeah, it's just, it's thank you. Anyway, if they ever watch this, they probably won't, but I need to say it anyway. Thank you everyone who works on these films so far. They've meant so much to me, and this was it was a cherry on top. It was perfectly executed, and I wish that some things didn't have to end, but they do. And this was the right way to do it. To me. I know there's going to be people who don't agree, but I do. I think that the way they ended it was the best way they could have ended it. I'm gonna cry again. Right, if you like this video, please like and subscribe and ring the bell button to be notified when I make a new video. Comment down below what you love most about the MCU, what is your favourite film, what is your favourite moment of the MCU. Please let me know in the comments down below, and subscribe and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, Goodreads, and I'm also on Facebook, so I'll leave all those links in the comment section down below. Go see Endgame if you haven't yet, and if you haven't yet and you're still watching this, why? You should have gone when I told you to. If you have seen it, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.